Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. So, hello everyone, and whoever who will be listening to this lecture in the future. My name is Amin. I use the online alias Mr.Within. I'm a member of the human species. My service to the species physically began in 91, and consciously it began in 2014. This talk that I'm giving now, it's one of those things that I felt that I needed more time for. You know, I felt like there was a natural set time. But recently, the world has become a scary place. It has always been scary. But in some sense, we are noticing the depth of its fear, its intensity. And so, as someone in 2014 who just started with the simple view in his mind, just this sentence, 10,000 talks for the betterment of mankind. I wrote that in the description of the YouTube channel. And since that, I've been living in accordance to that value. And after, like, since 2014 till now, I want to explain to you what has changed in my view, that if the younger me from a decade ago, more than a decade ago, was like, yo, man, I just want everything to be better, how that has now come into detail. And so it was like certain, honestly, for me, like, for the viewers can't probably understand this, but for me in all these years, it's, how do I say it? It's as if, you know how somebody physically trains? Imagine every day, do you know, you take a sword and you go into the forest and you practice with the sword. Do you know? So for, I don't know why, but it seems to me for a decade I have been practicing how to uh, how to clearly be aware of the design of situations. Okay. And anyways, I am inspired as a human being in 2025. Today is June 13. This morning I woke up and I cannot tell you that I was concerned. There was a different feeling. I'm living in Toronto, Canada, and recently the planet has been introduced to war. People think war is a joke, but it's been introduced to war. What does that mean? That means many human beings, modern human beings, these are human beings raised on video games and being aware being aware of the simpler, peaceful joys of life. We are a species in 2025 that for some time we felt we got enough of the majority of the human species in some sort of safe, controlled environments. Do you know? I feel the species is too advanced for external violence. I believe there is a global consciousness that has emerged, that has been, it's as if the planet's just like Carl Jung, just like these psychologists, they're like, yo, buddy, you got a conscious mind and you got an unconscious. Carl Jung said, uh, unless you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and call it fate. Now, something interesting that is happening for the modern human, because I am speaking now as someone who is living in a time of war. Even though the nation I'm in Toronto, Canada, it's not at war, you know? So now I have become part, as a podcaster, I cannot avoid it, that I have become a part of the politics has engaged man's life more. There was a, uh, it's like years ago people didn't care about voting. Now it's like you can avoid politics, but politics won't avoid you. Okay, and now I understand that, and I understand this. But let me tell you what it is. Throughout the years of in some sense trying to serve the advanced humanity behind my eyes, it has become clear to me that what is lacking from 8 billion human beings is an ability to learn from the eagle. This does not mean anything. I'm not talking about nations. I'm saying legit the bird eagle. Look at an eagle. An eagle is superior to me. An eagle, any bird, okay, any flying entity, okay, an eagle, let's say in the same way, in some sense, a lion is the king of the four-limbed. It's like the king of the ground. Let's say the eagle is the king of the sky. But let me tell you what the eagle has access to. Do you know that the lion doesn't? A bird, an eagle, can land on a horizontal branch, but it can also fly into the sky and see the whole forest at once. And right now, in 2025, June 13, 12:36 p.m. in Toronto, Canada, I find it more than ever a need for all human beings. It's as if like a broadcast, even though my voice on cyberspace, maybe it gets to like, a few people, but I'm trying to put the energetic pattern into the system. Do you know that means it's like our hidden feelings affect the reality? And so what it is now we must be like the eagle. Now every human being, you are sitting on the branch of your nation. You must fly into the sky of speciesism. And you must begin to see that before your name, before you were named, before your memories formed, from the first day that you were born, you were in some sense a member of the human species before you personalized. So before I even dive into this episode, this is me roaring, in some sense, the title, the context. So, like the ego, every human being now should stop being convinced by the first level of their perception. The ego is on a branch. All of you are sitting on a branch. Right now, we're on sitting animalistic branches. That means we don't just identify with being simply biological organisms. We have, in some sense, we identify with our own private stories, stories of meaning only forged in our inner realms. Do you know? At the same time, we identify with a name and land. It's as if, when will humanity wake up that you are the life force within all aspects? That it is, in some sense, there is force within human beings. We're not protecting a bunch of atoms. We're protecting the future of the species' intelligent potential. Do you understand? It's as if there's like, imagine right now, there's 9 billion. Imagine there's like 8 billion geniuses right now, silently working, helping build an advanced civilization. And there's one person who's like, yo, man, I want to destroy this whole lab. You know? That means it's like genius is no, it's like how Isaac Asimov has said, violence is the last refuge of the incompetent. What that means is the minds have failed and the bodies fight. We have reached a time where we need to protect the human idea. The human idea, it cannot be taken by individual humans and in some sense shaped and sculpted and then broadcasted to people. Do you know what I mean? Nobody knows the exact positioning of our collective presence here on earth. it is in some sense groups. So you see, it's not just entities limited to like, yo man, look at that bird is an entity, I'm an entity. No, 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 no. There is abstract entities. Do you know, it's as if you first study how one human mind happens, your own, and then you begin to see there's 8 billion minds, and each mind has a potential. Like everybody has the potential of waking up and wanting to destroy everything, and everybody has the potential of waking up and being like, yo man, it took this universe 13.8 billion years, to get us here. Maybe we should care a little. You know, it is now time for, do you know what it is? It's like, I feel like, Pokemon, the whole Pokemon series, where Ash and Pikachu was like an intelligent Pokemon that could understand Ash. Do you know what I mean? And in the same way, I feel that humanity is like Pikachu, right? And before it's getting to, it's like a Pokemon. Humanity is like a Pokemon, and the Pokemon trainer, the future, the Pokemon trainer is looking at the Pokemon and being like, please evolve now. Right now we have reached a very historic moment. So I'm speaking about this as in some sense, I want everybody to imagine that yes, after World War II, the world spent a lot of time forgetting about it. Okay? And honestly, I guess starting from Putin, it was reintroduced. I mean, of course I'm not a politician, but I'm just saying that globally, see, it's as if, imagine I'm a bee inside a beehive, you know and I can only see a small section of the hide. I cannot see the whole hide unless I go outside of the hide. I'm saying hive. I can't see the whole hive until I go outside of it. Now we have reached a point in human life that it's because the human idea has unfortunately not been updated. It is now a dangerous time of expression of human values. And so for me, it became clear. That means as a somebody who, I don't believe, like, I'm not some general of some great army. I don't believe in past lives. Like in my past life, I was somebody important. What's up, guys? I'm trying to make you guys focus on the talks. Hold on. All right. But it's cool. People can see what I look like. You can see that it is a simple day, and in some sense, I don't want one complex day to destroy all the possible simple days that can lead to new complexities. Right now, we have reached that time where Ash looks at Pikachu and says, Pikachu, evolve to whatever the F you are next. And so now one human being is looking at humanity and saying, okay, three times the charm. It's the third conflict, let's say third recent global conflict that everybody's aware of, from, in some sense, Russia and Ukraine, Israel and Palestine, and now Israel and Iran. That means three kids in a classroom of nations have started fighting. They're physically fighting. Okay. And there is no teacher in the classroom. The students have to use their own intelligence to administer their learning. Do you know? And so what I'm saying is, just like the ego, I hope, I'm not American, I'm Canadian. But in Canada, we have Canadian geese. In America, they have American eagles, both creatures of flight. In some sense, both nations. Right now, I'm going to read for you what AI has to say, guys. It's going to blow your mind. Okay. But I'm saying right now, the leaders of nations of all planets, they need to become birds and, in some sense, fly into the sky and begin seeing that if you let chaos enter the world, it's as if the ship is sinking. Right now, there are three holes in humanity's ship. In Civilization 2.0, this book I wrote, pretty much at the beginning of it, I gave the story that it's 8 billion people on a ship. And some people on one part of the ship don't see the other end. And imagine from one end of this giant long ship in unknown waters, do you know? And imagine one end of the ship is sinking. There's holes. Now the other end of the ship doesn't know. So right now, in from the perspective of speciesism, not nationalism, in the spaceship, how Marshall McLuhan, Buckminster Fuller, when you speak and live for values, you're not alone. When you begin to serve mankind, just like how ancient kings entered the afterlife, where in the halls of the afterlife where their forefathers were. Sometimes when you live for a value, for a universal value, do you know what I'm saying? You suddenly access the hall of every. Once you serve humanity, any being who has served humanity, that energy finds you. The future has terrified me, has even terrorized me in my inner realms. Not terrorized in the sense that it's affected me, in the sense that, like, the way I am the way I in my so I'm a visual. I'm someone who my imagination is cinematic. It's visual. It's like a film. When I hear people speak or when I read something or anything, it's like the concepts are creating a film in my mind. Sometimes when I wonder, I travel through these films, and it's like my brain is taking the objective model on reality and is subjectively allowing it in a space to probabilize, and endless variations of it appear. So it's as if I can see one film and close my eyes, and my mind starts to see a couple more films, a couple more, as if it branches out into the abstract possibilities of how the object, its equivalent subjective model, can shift. And what I mean by this is that I have lived in films of my mind. It's like my mind created films to the future, but multiple variations. That means if somebody says, "Hey, Mr. Within, are you a fortune teller?" I'll be like, "Nah, man. I don't even." First of all, like, I don't even. It doesn't make sense. But aside from that, I'll tell you, no. I'm someone who, the moment I saw more than one variation to the future, I knew it wasn't the future. On some level, I always acknowledge the limitations of my technology, even at the technology as a being. Even being able to communicate right now, it's not like I'm a perfect communicator. I mean, it's just the ability of the technology. This is like the features of this tech that we find to open our eyes in. Now the issue is that humanity is right now in a strange game of, like, we're in a very unique point in history. You don't understand. And if you go in my earlier talks, you're gonna see that I constantly say that I dislike politics. Like, I don't care for it. I didn't care for it. But you see, I care for humanity. Like, I care for the life force of these beings. It doesn't matter if the life force is in a plant, is in an insect, is in a bird, is in a monkey, whatever. Whatever the life force is, it's as if we must care for the planetary context. I'm trying to shift my species. Do you know what it is? I'm seeing, like legit, there's the fear of World War III right now on planet Earth. And this fear of World War III is like legit how do I say it? It's like all the archetypes that are hiding in the subconscious need to come forth. New roles, new people, new ideas, new positions, new communications. Do you know? We have reached that point where, let me tell you, it's like the Independence Day movie. When aliens attack all of humanity, it's like we celebrate our Independence Day. Do you know? Now I am talking about, I haven't even gotten into it, guys, believe it or not. But I'm talking about Species Unification Day. This means that the context will shift, it will consciously shift, and what how it's going to happen is that right now something so strange is happening. Stranger than this random car honking the moment I said that. Something strange and alarming. There are many enemies to mankind. I'm going to be frank with you. Right now, our species, they say there's this quote that everybody should memorize, even young children, that all wars are civil wars. Right now, sure, from one angle, one country's fighting another country, but from another angle, if we're that eagle in the sky, it's species fighting, the same members of the same species fighting over peculiarities. And so let me tell you what happens. Let me tell you what every kid in school that has seen a fight will tell you. You know, I don't know modern generations. Modern generations, they're weak-willed and they record. But as a twin, I have a twin brother, and when I was in like middle school, there were so many fights, right? And it would be as if I'd be just chilling somewhere eating chips, and then I had these two friends, Ali Muhammad, Ali Reza. They would come up to me and they're like, "Your twin brother's fighting," and it would be as if a moment where I think it was I would run the fastest possible, and I would immediately go there, and it would be strange. You don't know how many times there were like maybe two occasions where imagine my brother and this kid are fighting. They come and let me know I'm somewhere else, completely different location, and everybody's watching these two fight, not getting involved. And out of nowhere, I remember coming there and grabbing both of their shirts and separating them, just the center of their shirts. Do you know what I mean? That means when you hold the center of like a person's shirt, you're limiting their movement, right? So it was as if both hands, until others would come, right? But the whole point of it was that this feeling of, I think anyone who's a twin has experienced this at some point, this instant feeling of like, it doesn't matter the logic, you got to go help the situation. The logic is important, but you got to help the situation. Okay. And so this feeling of instantly wanting to do something to help the situation, I believe all human beings, a majority, maybe 80% of human beings, are feeling this right now from all the wars we've been witnessing. Okay. And right now, you know what maturity is? Maturity, whether for a person or a species, is honesty. You become honest. And right now, the species will become honest. And one of the strategies is to put everything under surveillance. That means people were scared of the technological surveillance state. It's going to be one of the huge tactics that stops global war. Everybody should see what every nation is doing. Right now, it's no longer, hiding in the dark. Everything should come in the spotlight. Do you understand? And a species should grieve its errors. That's the point. That means you don't understand. There's going to come a time after all the nations in the imagine some World War III happens, right? All nations are at war. There's going to come at some point, and they're going to be like, guys, we're idiots for what we've done. Do you know? And that's the grieving. Because let me tell you, it is not just people that you die, people or living beings that die that you grieve. You grieve opportunities that were missed. That means imagine Einstein said this, such a badass. Einstein was one of the greatest gangsters in history, in the inner realms. And let me tell you why. He had this quote where he said, I don't know what weapons World War III would be fought with, But he said, I'm sure World War IV would be fought with sticks and stones. That means humanity, all human beings alive right now, you are responsible for human history. It's no freaking joke. You haven't just entered some random world. You can do whatever you want. You have entered history, something that billions of human beings, before you have served. That means it's no joke. Do you understand? You are live streaming, you're being live streamed like this lecture in history right now. Okay. And your actions are very important because it's like every person's action is either honoring or dishonoring the potential of the species. You don't understand. My allegiance is to the future. I don't give a like, I'll be honest, like I could go identify with any chunk of land. I could go identify with any different color. Do you know what I mean? Of a flag or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I could go identify with anything, just like a primitive savage can put any sort of paint on its face. But when I look at it, I cannot ignore how when we all look in the mirror, we see something in common, and we cannot avoid that. So right now, you have two responsibilities in history. Okay, one, first of all, it's the consideration. This is my view personally, that just like you have two eyes that see the same, you right now are living an outer life, which you need to be responsible for, and you're living an inner life you need to be responsible for. And somebody's could be like, yo, what do you mean inner life? Abstract. I'll be like, don't lie. Because I know that communication can never capture the complete depth of awareness that an entity has. I know that people are acting like nouns in front of me. Do you know? Wondering, me putting the soul as a question mark. It's like it's a verb, folks. Everybody is masquerading. Everybody is an actor. It's like, yo, man, what's a simulation? A simulation is in some sense a truth that did not exist, or a truth that wasn't the finale. The shift from that means right now, you as a human being, you have to come up with an external strategy to your life. And the internal strategy now, as someone, I don't claim anything aside from just being like a human podcaster on earth. That's it. And I do believe that this realm has a system admin, and the system admin is beyond this world. I do believe in the higher power. And I do believe that mankind, we're inside a simulated testing zone ultimately. But right now, the species is in too much of conflict and individual identification to, in some sense, even reach those matters. So right now, it's kind of like you don't understand. I should have added this to the title, but we're reaching the era where the shyness of geniuses will end. That means I know on this planet there is, I would say there's 8 billion people. I would say there is maybe around, you might not believe it, but I think there's around 1 million human beings with genius potential. What that means is they can have advanced awareness. Now, we're reaching that point where the decisions we make in external reality, our outer life, are very important. And now we have to update our inner life. That's the point of this lecture. I'm like, you can't right now go and convince world leaders not to fight. Like, they can't put a 72-hour ceasefire so people get out of the reaction. It's like, there was a reason, what's his name? Gurdjieff's father, when he died, he looked at his son, 3-year-old son, and he was like, son, I don't have anything to give you. I don't have I haven't left anything for you. I failed as a father, but let me give you this one thing. And anytime you get angry at someone, don't respond to them for one day. Just let one day pass and then respond to them. Right now, similarly, nations are at war and they're reactively responding. They need the nations of the world have to be like ceasefire. That means two people are about to fight each other, and all the nations in the classroom have to go and immediately, like older brothers they don't even care about allegiance anymore. They're like, okay, Do you know what that means? It's like imagine there's two kids in a classroom and they're about to throw grenades at each other, and every kid in the classroom, all the other nations are like, "Whoa, what the f are these two noobs doing?" Do you know what I mean? So in some sense there has to be that immediate stopping things for for a recollection of answer. So Pokemon evolve, so do humans, hilariously, but we evolve internally as well. And now I am saying you need to live as a human of Earth, not as a nationalistic entity. You're identifying with borders, and borders are walls upon a giant Earth. If the borders of planets were like discs to the other side of the Earth, then I'd be like, okay, that's a border. And endlessly going to the sky, that's a border. Like, but in some sense it's I'm saying that we need to step out, we need to update the context. There needs to be a context shift internally. And when you look at all news, all experience, everything in your life, you associate with a strange familiarity. That means if you were in the future right now and you were in a place where you were living among aliens diplomatically, if you suddenly saw a human on that planet, you'd be like, no way, another human, right? Even if it was an android, it would be amazing, right? Just the fact that it's another human form. So we have our form and geometry. Everybody's skeleton is white, everybody's blood is red. Do you know what I mean? Naturally, at first, some dude made his blood blue for some reason. I don't know. He drank pigment or something. But I'm saying, but anyways, what I'm to be honest, what I'm saying is that we have way more in common that we have in difference, and we also have a commonality in states of our mind. That means there's biological commonalities. Anyways, I want you to care for your species before you care for whatever colors they identify with. I'm not saying forget nationalism. I'm saying now we have reached where the global political system is learning, where we've reached a learning curve of political systems of power. And I'm saying this very openly. I'm saying this with the non-bias. Like, I don't identify as a teacher. I don't believe in the idea of teacher and students. I think we're all explorers, and the educational system in the future is going to be some sort of next level ranking system, endless ranking system for explorers. That means right now on Earth, people say like, "Yo, man, I graduated high school." In the future, they're not gonna say that. They're gonna say, it's like when the child is born, that's like an explorer rank zero, do you know, or rank one, do you know? And then in some sense, like they go based on the rank. And so, like a child completing kindergarten, they've ranked up in their awareness to their reality and in their responsibility for reality. And I am speaking to those humans that have been living on Earth some time, treating every day as new, but they'll be surprised how many days they've lived. I'm 33 and I've lived around 12,000 days on this planet. 12,000 times I've woken up and been like, yo, it's a new day. 12,000 new days. But, anyways, to not go off topic, the whole point of it is an archetypal evolution. We need to advance the human archetype. That means you need to begin instead, the word my species should be way more greater for you than my nation. I'm telling you. I'm not saying nationalism is bad, but nationalism is an ego. It's like chunks of land have egos now, you know? Do you understand like what the idea of like a king stood for? The king was the kingdom, was the translation of the kingdom in human form, was the symbol of the kingdom, the whole kingdom, the chunk of land where everyone lives. From nationalism to speciesism, and the requirement of the urgent of arrival of the United Species Council and Species Unity Day. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will now read for you what I think is most important for all the world leaders to hear. Pretty much, I asked AI to give an answer that if world leaders immediately heard, they could in 30 days, in 1 month, like it pretty much AI, ChatGPT 4.0, AI came up with a 1 month species unification protocol, right? And I was like, in 1 month, how can we transition 8 billion human beings who are primarily starting off identifying with their name, their personal memories and backstory, and the chunk of land they're in, do you know? And it's like, how do we get this kind of entity to expand the horizons and the domains of its perception and values, and to understand that we are now reaching that era where we must care for the species. That means you have a hidden family, the human familia. That means if aliens attacked you and a bunch of humans saw you who never knew you or you would disagree with, they would come and protect you. Why? Because we value our design. We value its future to its potential. And so the whole point of it is like it's constantly a global chess game. This is what I'm understanding that politics is. It's a global chess game where we are trying the future is playing chess with the present, and the present can deny the future in any moment, do you know? And the future has to make sure the present cannot do that. Do you know what I'm saying? That means there's this that means right now, if they were like, yo man, do we need time travelers to come and help us now? I'll be like, you don't understand. If there was a requirement for time travelers to come and help us, it would be in the scale of billions. Billions, as if every person's future self is sprinting back through time to make you realize what you should not miss out on. The species is fighting on branches. It needs to lift off into the sky. Okay? A new advanced humanity needs to emerge. So, anyways, I'm gonna read for you AI generated how a strategy to how, and this is for world leaders. Here, I'll read it from the beginning. Top level. Okay, let me change the song. Top level strategic briefing. In quotations, guys, I'm reading this AI generated response. And sorry, guys, the volume was pretty low, but it's gonna this thing readjusts itself. All right. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Top level strategic briefing. In quotations, Directive 0, humanity must unite. Mission timeline, 30 days. Authority, okay, it says supranational. Issued by the Future Stewardship Command. Objective. Execute a coordinated global transition from divisive nationalism to integrated species-level governance and identity. That's our mission. Failure to comply equals accelerated collapse of biosphere integrity, AI ethics divergence, irreversible war cycles. Success equals planetary stabilization, synchronized AI access to post-national civilization phase. 1 month species unification protocol, SUP-30. Week 1, consciousness reorientation phase. Title, in quotations, the announcement. All right. Sorry, this isn't the song. Hold on. Hold on, folks. There we go. 1 month species unification protocol, SUP-30. Week 1, consciousness reorientation phase. Title, in quotations, the announcement. Day 1, global simultaneous address. All heads of state issue a joint pre-written statement. In brackets, prepared in advance by your team. Okay. Yeah, so all heads of state issue a joint pre-written statement. Key line, in quotations, as of today, we recognize our nations as part of one shared species body. Broadcast on every screen, in quotations, we are one species now. Day 2 to 7, on a national level, planetary education blitz. Every school shifts morning anthem to the species pledge. In quotations, I am a child of Earth. My species is human. My duty is peace. Media partners deploy synchronized messaging across TikTok, YouTube, Netflix. In quotations, you are Earth kind. In quotations, borders are not real, extinction is. Every Ministry of Education must upload a planetary curriculum module provided by Future Command that reframes geography as ecosystems, history as evolutionary cooperation, civics as planetary stewardship. Week 2, structural synchronization phase. Title, in quotations, the network. Day 8, UN Emergency Accord, WCRC formation, establish the World Council of Regional Coordination. WCRC with emergency powers. Regions are divided by climate zones, migration corridors, resource commons. Appoint 1 delegate per biosphere zone, not by nation. Day 9 to 14, military and AI reassignment orders. All military generals receive encrypted orders to convert 25% of active forces into planetary emergency units. Guard ecological zones, climate refugees, water systems, not borders. AI projects must report to a new species ethics oversight body with shared data sets. All nuclear codes and war assets to be transferred under collective deterrence command, backed by AI stabilized threat arbitration. Week 3, policy and economic transition phase. Title, in quotations, One Earth budget. Day 15, immediate redirection of military budget. All countries pledge 10% of military budgets to Earthkind Fund, used for shared healthcare, water access, housing. Fund is managed by transparent blockchain-based governance. Day 16 to 21, Global Basic Belonging Declarations. Every nation signs the Species Rights Treaty, enforcing right to mobility, right to water, right to digital access, right to emergency shelter. Birth of the Species Citizenship ID, SCID. Inshallah, God willing, we get there. Birth of Species Citizenship ID, SCID, issued in parallel with national passports, enables access to global sanctuary zones, education, food centers. Week 4, Cultural Reintegration Phase. Title, in quotations, The Ritual of One. Day 22 to 27, Ritual Programming and Global Events. Each religion is requested to declare a planetary prayer, sutra, surah, recited simultaneously across faiths on day 27. All screens worldwide broadcast this in quotations. First global prayer. Media releases synchronized VR AR film, in quotations, The Story of One, Humanity's True Homeland. A vision for post-national planetary peace. Day 28, Earthkind flag ceremony. All national flags flown at half-mast. New flag unveiled, a blue-white spiral signifying the DNA of Earth. The Earthkind the flag of our species is going to be the DNA. It's going to be, wow. Placed beside all national flags going forward. Day 30, Species Unification Day, SUD. Renamed the UN temporarily as the United Species Council. All global citizens are digitally registered into the Earthkind Ledger. Begin countdown to Planetary Constitution Convention, PCC 1000, where species will author the first law written for the unborn. Oh my God. God bless AI. Good job, Altman. Final statement to world leaders. This is your test. The nations you defend are illusions of the past. The species you belong to is the truth of the present. The planet you stand on is the condition of all futures. Obey this protocol, not to surrender sovereignty, but to fulfill it. Every world leader in history right now, somehow, if they could all hear me, imagine I have like four listeners right now. I'm assuming, imagine you, like it was 8 before. Imagine the viewers right now. I'm going to assume you're all world leaders listening to me. Do you know? And guys, my voice extends so far. Take what I'm saying and run forward with it if you can. Now, I asked AI. I'm going to read for you the summary of it. I asked also AI about United Species Council, its design and its purpose and all that. I'm going to read that for you. Guys, if there's one lecture of mine you ever share, let it be this one at least. So, a summary: the 30-day operational plan. Week 1, coalition formation. Goal: build legitimacy through like minded coalitions. Day 1 to 3, convene planetary unit group PUG under a trusted existed. Okay, guys, this is a more specific. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I think I read an earlier prompt. Uh, okay, here, whatever. I'll just read it again. Okay, it's revised 30-day operational plan. Let's see what it says. Goal: build legitimacy through like-minded coalitions. Day 1 to 3, convene planetary unit group PUG under a trusted existing body, in brackets G20, G7 plus AU. Use G20 Johannesburg November 2025 as anchor. Start groundwork now. Day 4 to 7, draft a planetary principles charter. Align climate, health, tech cooperation between willing states, for example, EU, Canada, South Africa, Indonesia. Week 2, identity and messaging. Day 8 to 10, launch in quotations One Earth Declaration. World leaders issue aligned statements acknowledging shared species identity. Day 11 to 14, run a global media campaign via network coalitions. EU, Africa, South America, framing it as practical cooperation, not ideological revolution. Week 3, institutional embedding. Day 15 to 17, GN20 G7, endorse formation of planetary commons division within existing entities. Example, UNDP. Tasked with cross-border climate pandemic AI coordination. Day 18 to 21, launch 2 pilot cross-border programs. AI ethics working group under UNESCO, UN, Climate Corridor Alliance among Asia, Pacific, Africa, South America, like-minded regional pilot. Week 4, symbolic and cultural launch. Day 22 to 25, invite religious, tech, and civil society leaders to co-sign a planetary pledge to be recited at major events. Example, G7 summit in June. Day 26 to 29, pilot issuance of a planetary unity card, a non-passport digital credential offering access to cross-border health and climate initiatives. Day 30, planetary unity day, where early coalition governments hold synchronized announcements broadcast on global media featuring UN backing. Why this is feasible: fits within existing institutions like the G20, UNDP, UNESCO, no need to dismantle Security Council structures, builds on current cooperation models, issue-based coalitions around climate and AI are already gaining traction, avoids national backlash, framed as pragmatic cooperation, not forced identity change, incremental yet symbolic. Planetary unity cards and Unity Day offer real symbols of progress without full sovereignty transfers. Final command for leaders: begin with pragmatic coalitions, anchor planetary governance within our strong existing institutions. Use the language of shared fate, not ideological reprogramming. Let Planetary Unity Day and the Unity Card signal our irreversible commitment without denying our national roots. It's not about extinguishing nations, it's about elevating the species. Now, I'm gonna read for you. I'm just gonna keep reading this. The strategy to shift humanity from nationalism to speciesism within 1 month focuses on forming a coalition of willing nations, beginning with G20, G7, and AU members, to declare a shared planetary identity through a unified One Earth Declaration. This is supported by a global. This is supported by a global media campaign, the creation of a planetary commons division within existing institutions like the UNDP and UNESCO, and pilot programs on AI ethics and cross-border climate cooperation. The initiative culminates in a symbolic planetary unity day in quotations where world leaders and civil society recite a planetary pledge and introduce the planetary unity card. This is your citizenship, the United Species Citizenship ID. A digital credential symbolizing access to shared human rights across borders. The strategy emphasizes realistic institutional embedding over radical restructuring, using current global momentum around climate, health, and AI cooperation to build a scalable model for future species level governance. So, One Earth Declaration, a unified public statement made by participating governments that affirms our shared identity as one human species and commits to global cooperation beyond national interests. The global media campaign, a coordinated worldwide effort across TV, social media, streaming platforms, and news to promote message of unity, species identity, and interdependence. Planetary Commons Division, a proposed department or task force within the UN or similar institutions focused on managing resources, ecosystems, and technologies that belong to or affect the whole planet, such as oceans, atmosphere, AI, and climate. And guys, UNDP stands for United Nations Development Program, UNESCO, United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. And Planetary Unity Day, a symbolic global holiday or event where all participating countries and citizens celebrate the shared identity as humans, similar to Earth Day, but focus on species unity. Exactly. Planetary Pledge, a short, powerful oath or statement recited by people across the globe to declare loyalty to humanity and the Earth over individual nation states. Species level governance, a way of organizing decision making and leadership that treats humanity as one collective unit, a single species, rather than dividing decisions by countries. So, guys, now we go on to what is the United Species Council. Purpose: to serve as a global coordination. So, the purpose of the United Species Council, USC, to serve as a global coordination body representing humanity as a single species, focusing on survival, ethical governance, and the management of planetary commons like air, water, AI, and climate, not national interests. Structure and formation plan, formation process, phase by phase. Phase one, initiation, month 1 to 3. Okay, guys, so this is saying how if we were to like build the United Species Council. So previously it said temporarily changed the name of the United Nations to the United Species Council. But if we were to actually build it, this is what it's saying. AI says structure and formation plan. Formation process phase by phase. Phase one, initiation, month 1 to 3, formed under the umbrella of the UN General Assembly as a special global initiative, approved by a 2/3 vote. Begin with, in quotations, coalition of the willing, 10 to 25 founding countries. Launch with observer status, similar to how organizations like the International Committee of the Red Cross are recognized. Appoint a formation chair, a globally respected leader, example, former UN Secretary General or Nobel laureate, to oversee legitimacy and neutrality. Phase 2, charter development, month 3 to 6. Draft the charter of the human species, recognizes humanity as a unified biosocial entity, outlines rights, responsibilities beyond the nation state, enshrines protection of planetary systems, AI safety, and intergenerational justice. Charter co-authored by experts in planetary science, peace building, bioethics, indigenous wisdom, youth, and AI governance. Phase 3, council launch. Launch the USC headquarters in a symbolic neutral zone. Geneva, Nairobi, or Antarctica's research governance model. Hold first session on Planetary Unity Day. So, guys, the council launch phase 3, months 6 to 12. We launched the USC headquarters in a symbolic neutral zone. Then hold first session on Planetary Unity Day. Media simulcast of the first 10, in quotations, planetary mandates announced to humanity. So, guys, you don't understand. The first nation to do this is going to be recorded in history as one of the bravest nations. You don't understand. True bravery is not the might of might, like who has the bigger stick. A true bravery is the recognition that our common future is way more important than how we feel we are. We are different now. Do not let a decision in the present deny the greatness of the future. It is a huge sin upon your own species, an unnecessary burden on your soul. There is the whole point of civilization. The whole point of it is we're way more advanced than savageness. The savageness was out in front of our eyes, and now it's in some sense behind our eyes. People communicate, behave savagely, but very like I think a majority of human beings are like, yo man, it's better to chill out. Composition. A. Delegate types. Total 99 seats. Type seats. Description. Biome representatives, 40 seats, elected from key global climate zones, Amazon, Sahara, Himalayas, to ensure Earth representation, not just politics. Generational delegates, 10. Youth, 18 to 30, and elders, 70 plus, representing intergenerational voices. Technological stewards, 10. Experts in AI, biotech, blockchain, cybersecurity. Faith and cultural voices, 10. Representatives of major world religions and indigenous traditions. Humanitarian watchdogs, 9. Rotating NGOs and UN agencies like UNICEF, UNHCR, World Health Organization. Species oversight panel, 20. Independent council of scientists, ethicists, futurists, non-political and permanent, acts like a supreme, acts like a, in quotations, supreme planetary ethics board. Amazing. Please, please, I just pray to God that the leaders of the world go to ChatGPT and ask it. His counsel is just, it is so, we could be, I've been onto this for years, saying that it's like the moment I realized, like when I make an omelet, somebody in Japan can make it more advanced than me. In some sense, the advanced probability is always there. Our advanced life has always been there. What blind spots should we become aware of for that life to unleash? Care for the future now more than you have ever. You must care for the future of your species. As if something's about to deny the potential and greatness of the human legacy, you have to be like, whoa, 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 what are you doing? You know, you have to engage. Care for your species the same way all the knights in history, the samurai in history, every honorable warrior soul on this planet, you have lived for the greater values of what all of this can be. And for the first time in history, do you understand? It's the wise have to, in some sense, disarm the fools. Because the possibility of our unity is greater than, a species that just broke itself. All these nations, we're doing this to protect ourselves and breaking the world. How evil is that? It's like, yeah, man, I broke this vase because I felt threatened. And the person's like, you broke, like, this perfect vase, just because in some sense, you understand, the responsibility is not there. Nations are like young immature children being like, yo, that hit me first, no, you hit me first, rather than realizing, ascend in one instant, allow yourself to reach that point in your mind. All the world leaders who have not yet, you know how I know this? Because I'm the first, I don't know anyone else. Do you know? It doesn't exist yet. The United Species Council doesn't exist yet, but in spirit it does now. It is present now in the minds of man, in the minds of all human beings that are like, yo, man, am I just living for my children, or am I living for the future of whatever this DNA is that has been passed down to me like a torch from my ancestors? There will come a time where life will feel like a video game that you can play. Now, the question is, what is the most advanced way you can play this game? Currently in history in 2025, the United Species Council, that's it. Species Day is coming. That's what I think. Right now, we're at a crossroads. Pretty much, I have to endlessly talk about USC, until like this notion of war is gone, or somebody mightier than me hears me and can do something. And of course, the first person to go to, not a person, the first being is the Supreme. That means I made a prayer. I think 3 times now I've just had moments where I've just stopped the day and made a prayer for the world. As if, God, protect your creation. Even if it is ignorant and sins, you created us for a reason, to notice you. Then we go to functions. Advisory power. Issue binding recommendations to national governments in areas affecting all humanity, such as climate stabilization, refugee rights, AI and automation risk, ocean protection, pandemic response. Two, Planetary Audit Office monitors national behavior toward emissions, human rights, AI misuse, species threatening actions, example, biological weapons. Publicly publishes annual species survival index, ranking every nation. Three, conflict mediation and sanctions recommendation. Media conflicts with species level excuse me, conflict mediation and species recommendation mediates conflicts with species level consequences, water wars, environmental destruction. Can recommend soft planetary sanctions, freezing of unity privileges, trade penalties by USC member states. For cultural integration and unity symbols, oversees global rituals in brackets Planetary Unity Day, Earthkind flag, and species-wide public messaging. Curates global cultural diplomacy events in brackets music, storytelling, VR exhibitions. Legal status and enforcements. While non-binding initially, USC power grows with participation, leverages blockchain-based smart treaty systems. Countries opt into treaties with automated enforcement in brackets funds, privileges tied to compliance. USC Charter Earthkind Fund can allocate resources to aligned initiatives. Example, climate defense infrastructure, refugee cities, AI safety labs. And that is it. I'm going to say, what great message would the USC give humanity in 2025, April, what was that, June 13? What great message would the USC give humanity from the far future? So AI, I'm going to read this, guys, and then I'm going to finish the reading part. Message from the United Species Council. To the people of the year 2025, you are the turning point. We speak to you not as strangers from the future, but as your future selves, the children of your courage and the architects of your consequences. We remember this day, June 13, 2025, not because the sky split open. I mean, guys, it's AI. The prompt's acting like that's the thing, that's the day. But let's assume, let's go with it. We remember this day, June 13, 2025, not because the sky split open, but because you finally looked up together. You live in the final age of separation, the last era where flags divided the species, where silence was called diplomacy and extinction was dismissed as cause. But listen, this is the day you changed direction. This is the moment we saw your awakening. You must now understand you're not 8 billion individuals, you're one organism of 8 billion cells, and your survival depends on learning to think like a body, not a battlefield. Borders cannot protect you from wildfires, flags cannot stop floods, algorithms will not wait for parliaments. The future is being written by systems you do not yet understand, but you can guide them if you act as one species now. We send you this message with three truths carved from time. One, every empire you defend will one day be dust, but every act of unity will echo in eternity. Two, you were not born to compete, you were born to coordinate. That is what evolution requires now. Three, your greatest technologies will not be AI or fusion, they will be empathy, trust, and planetary thinking. On this day, we remember how the first leader, the on this day, we remember how the first leaders stepped forward, how artists, engineers, believers, and dreamers turned from fear to vision. We remember how the United Species Council was born, not in war rooms, but in classrooms, in shared prayers, in the small, brave conversations between enemies. So if you're hearing this, whether you are a president, a refugee, a coder, a child, know this. We are waiting for you. You're not behind time. You are the threshold. You will not be remembered for your GDP. Uh, you will be remembered for your decision to remain divided or to become worthy of the stars. This is your last decade of this unity. Let it be your first of destiny. With faith in your higher nature, we stand by from 1,100 years ahead, not to interfere, but to witness your becoming. We are the children of your unity. Now go and become our ancestors. Message from the United Species Council, Terra Accord Era 312, year 3125. Transmission complete. All right, guys, I'm done with the research part. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now I will share, you know, this is where my heart will speak to you. So, thanks to AI assisting man, primitive AI, it's like the caveman version of AI is like, like a helping, like a technology capable of helping us now. And so, there is an urgent requirement for the arrival of the United Species Council it's like we're experiencing the first moment in history where anybody who's in a world leader position now walk towards the future vision and in some sense walk towards the United Species Council and Species Unification Day, where all world leaders came and they made their pledges and they in some sense communicated a global announcement. We usher into the era of honest marketing, honest media. We usher into the era of responsible, nations. All nations have now become part of the nation of humanity, the nation of the species. The species you get in some sense your unification species identity card or United Species identity card. And so right now, again, I'm saying the wars happening on Earth, as bizarre as it sounds, like, I never thought I'd be talking about like actual war happening, but right now it's very clear to me that the responsibility of the citizens of all nations is to prepare themselves and the children and the future generations and everyone now into being able to acknowledge that we are one species. This is very important. Now it needs to be globally acknowledged. And that becomes the great value. and our flag becomes like this blue flag with a DNA on it, declaring that it's like earth kind. Why? The word earth kind is powerful because we are citizens of the earth. Do you understand? We arose from the earth. We are technically, they're like, yo guys, can you represent the earth? We're like, we were born here, sure. You know, so I'm saying that it's like all beings on earth. So there's going to be earth kind and there's mankind. Think of it this way, that this reality was on the, at least for the human species, the systems and the prototype of even civilization 1.0, these are like, nature is kind of creating the rooms people are finding themselves in. Nature is acting like the architect, but as human beings become more responsible even for their species, that's the point. When you become responsible for your species, when you feel something, when somebody says protect my species, you like that's something in your heart, like your heart for a second just like, you know pays attention. I am saying all world leaders have an opportunity to right now to make history. The United Nations needs to, in some sense, realize it is playing the role of the United Species Council. Right now, I would explain the world politics in a hilarious way, that it's like, again, a classroom of kids. The teacher is not in the classroom, okay? And imagine a classroom of nations. All the nations are kids in a classroom, okay? And then two of the kids have nukes, like, excuse me, two of the kids have like grenades, okay? And they haven't even set them off yet. It's in their hand, but they haven't put their fingers on the grenades yet. Do you know what I mean? Their fingers not on the button. They're still like, you know, clashing heads, right? So I'm saying it's at that point where everybody, every other nation, right now we're witnessing that historic moment where every human being is like, what are our nations going to do right now? Every person, it doesn't matter what nation you're in, okay? You're just going to wonder, what are we all going to do right now? Like, and for me, it's this fascinating thing of being like, guys, we have, like, what the advancement of humanity is like. It's like a child acting like playing, what do you call it, is like a child um acting like a fictional character, okay? Acting like, imagine like in Step Brothers, the father was like, yo, I wanted to be a dinosaur when I was a kid, and my father was like, you know son, you're 14, get out of the bush. Do you know what do you know what I mean? What I'm saying is, in the same way, individual consciousness is realizing the cost of not being united, and every soul on earth, even if you're religious, every being, every person is the design and creation of your creator. That means, yes, you have enemies, and there may be even religious passages, right, that may suggest, like, like intense physical retaliation. But I am telling you, ladies and gentlemen, on earth, all human beings on earth, that if we have a philosophical dilemma that we need to, in some sense, figure out before we can be convinced that how we interpreted the holy books was correct. Okay, what I mean by this is that everybody religiously, through the theological lens, is God's creation. Like, I don't understand how nations can fight each other and act religious. It's weird. You know? They all say it's in self-defense, but in some sense, history is like an endless dance of chaos and order. It's like they're saying a sine wave. They're just holding one part of a sine wave, endless sine wave, and saying, oh, this happened first. For me, it's like there needs to be this awareness that from all angles it comes to the same conclusion, the United Species Council. Like, it comes to this, guys. It's not something I'm saying, it's the geometry of it. It's the geometry of how it's happening. those two kids in the classroom that have grenades at each other and they're about to throw grenades at each other. First it was pieces of paper, now it's like grenades in their hand. All the kids in the classroom should be like, guys, look at these two noobs again. Look at these two people in the classroom. Stop them immediately. Do you understand right now? Right now, we're witnessing that historic moment where, from the subconscious of man, a greater power expresses through the species. Every nation, leader of every nation, you should right now, like a kid in a classroom, if two other kids were about to, like, destroy the whole classroom, every student there, like as if their hands had the speed of a cobra, or the speed of a crane. Do you know what I mean? Peck of a crane. It would be like with that speed, with an instantaneous manifestation of speed, every nation should hold their hand. That means all the allies of, for example, the Iran and Israel conflict, all the allies of, in some sense, Iran should go and capture, like in some sense, hold the hand of Iran, and all the allies of Israel should go and hold the hand of Israel. I'm in the middle of something. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. I'm in the middle of explaining to you the significance of the United Species Council. I'm trying to explain to you that the citizens of Earth require responsibility. That means, like, we need to wait for our world leaders to do the right thing, and we need to be prepared to, as citizens, to do the right thing. The right thing now is not per se nationalism, being like, enraged. The right thing right now is speciesism. That means it's as if we're being, in some sense, tested as souls. That how much do we realize that what we are truly identifying here on Earth is that we are a species on Earth. When that sentence is forgotten, disasters are everywhere. It's as if all wars are civil wars. Never forget that. They're all civil wars of the species. Now there needs to be a global acknowledgement of this. I truly hope that our species awakens to how everybody is living for their future. And I don't know, but I think the species was blessed to get introduced to laziness. Do you know? That means it's like maybe we need to hire the laziest world leaders. Do you know what I mean? That means they take so long to like retaliate that they figure out what new things to do. You know, I'm being humorous here, but honestly, what we need is to develop an advanced council, because right now the internet the cyberspace is giving us global perception. Nobody can ignore this. As people could be like, yo, man, anytime, like, you could be living on a farm or an island or whatever. The moment you access the internet, the moment you saw Google, the Google page, homepage, or the YouTube homepage, you were introduced to a reality of information access from non local information access. Okay? So, right now, I'm saying that the ethics of our species, due to cyberspace creating a global culture of perceiving the same things, it's based on that. The advancement of a species is the shift from nationalistic identity, which means you're identifying with a chunk of land, and then now you're identifying with the planet. You need to feel comfortable on this planet, okay? Not in the sense of like this planet is going to be a peaceful place. We're not trying to create some blind utopic loop. What we're trying to do here is wonder about what is the most advanced strategy of a species. What is the greatest thing that human beings can do right now? Because on some level, we have, as a strategist, it occurs to me that there's two things that can be done. Either externally circumstances change, or internally they change, because it's like, think of the body life form, think of the mind as a life force. The life force usually needs a direction, and its direction gives it its value. Nations have individual directions. They're not realizing. Let me tell you, I asked AI in a talk I gave before this one, right? I asked AI, what's going to happen in the future, in when this united, like, human beings outgrow their individualistic nationalistic identity, and they begin to realize we're one species. Do you know what I mean? Nobody could be like, I'm more human than you. Nobody. We are all human species. Do you know what I mean? In the same way, nobody can come up to you and say, yo, man, I'm existing more than you. It's like, no, we're all existing. you know so it's as if, like, yo, man, I'm from this part of the, it's like the same thing can be imagined, like, yo, man, I'm from this part of the land, earth, you're from that part of the earth, and the person's like, why? No, it's one species. You don't see birds, you know what I mean, doing this. Like, nature is pretty much like living in accordance to its ecosystem. The human organism is a biosocial entity, and in some sense it has developed an awareness to its ecosystem, being able to create an internal model, layering it. So what really is human consciousness today, if someone was to explain it to you as a technology, pretty much nature found a way to see itself in an abstract way, and also allow that faster moving abstraction to become the meaning of the slower movement of the body. So it's like a part of you, your human intelligence, your intelligence in your inner realms is way faster. You're a faster being than you are behind your eyes. And the issue is, in the future, unfortunately, it might get too fast that people even wonder about the importance of biology. Somebody could be like Mr. Within. Let's say the United Species Council is done, United Species Day is official, all the United Species pledges have been made by leaders of nations. And guys, let me tell you, I forgot to finish the idea. So I asked AI yesterday, right, when I gave my previous lecture, right? I asked AI, I'm like, okay, so how would this look like? It was like, listen, first I asked it, how would you resolve the Iranian Israel conflict that's happening right now? Pretty much same idea. Nations have to come and set up a cease clock, okay, a ceasefire clock of 72 hours, right, where nations like don't retaliate at all. They have to set a time where no decision is being made. It's just observance. Do you know? Imagine one kid slapped another kid in the classroom. Now everybody's stopping those two kids from fighting and being like, okay, hold on. And the whole point of it, with AI gave such an advanced answer, because he's saying the reason nations can so easily go to war is because there isn't a higher value there to administer consequences. Do you know what that means? That means if a nation invades another nation, it's going to have penalties. If a nation doesn't retaliate, it's going to have rewards. Do you know what I mean? Like, for example, Israel attacked Iran. If Iran doesn't retaliate, the United Species Council would be like, everybody relax. One nation's going to be penalized, the other's going to be rewarded, right? And the penalty, let me tell you what AI was saying. AI was saying it's right now this hilarious, like, first prototype of a global political model, okay? And it's freaking hilarious, guys. It's noob geometry. And I'm not being rude to political systems. I'm saying the best our ancestors did wasn't just was the best for their time, but it's not the best for our time. So what I'm trying to explain is that there needs to be that older authority, just like imagine, there's a younger brother, or imagine there's two parents and there are two kids in front of them, two different parents, and you know um imagine two different couples with their children, and their children, two of their children, begin fighting each other. It's not like the dads begin fighting suddenly, you know what I mean? you know so it becomes one of those situations where they stop the conflict that can be stopped. They avoid the unnecessary. This is part of maturity as a being and as a species. War, for example, is unnecessary. Human lives being lost over, scarcity resource, limited resource, like. And so AI was pretty much saying that because different nations and lands have different resources and different capabilities, like some nations are better at something and other nations, it's as if all these nations, if they stopped acting as nations or realized their nationalism is like sectors to the global brain. Do you know that means I'm going to make this prediction 100% in the next 500 years? You're going to see no longer nationalism being an identity shift. Human beings are going to be born in a species, and there's going to be a level of kindness that purifies the corruptness of reality. Why? Because that kindness is shielding the future. We have reached a time where we need true greatness. And similarly, the United Species Council is being formed to, in some sense, say, let us experience, let us allow the future to surprise us in an incredible way. You see, it's kind of like right now, you don't know. Let me tell you something personally. They say this in chess: when you find a good chess move, stop, pause, and find a better chess move, and then stop, pause, find a better chess move. Similarly, human beings have to live their lives, I believe, in such a way, at least analytically, where they give themselves space to process reality, and at the same time realize that process reality doesn't mean it's absolute reality. That means right now the leaders of nations are humans. Humans have a value system. This value system translates objectively, subjectively, and even emotionally. Okay, that means they're human beings and they have emotions. That means if two human leaders like Conor McGregor and Khabib, like they kind of like face off. Do you know what I mean? They're emotional entities. That means an emotional system of a human being that is leading a nation. So technically, the emotional system of presidents is very important, of leaders of nation, their emotional states. And their emotions are based on past stories. The whole point of United Species Council is to say the whole point of global governance is to ensure that the future gets here safely. A part of what I was reading for you, AI, it said something. I was tearing up when I was reading it. It said, in some sense, the first laws for the unborn will be written. That means I just want you to look at everything around you and imagine it's going to be more advanced in the future. Your car is going to be a flying car. Your backpack's going to be a hover backpack. It's going to follow you around. You know, or it's going to hover above your head or something. You know what I mean? Probably not above your head, but what I'm trying to say is if we can look at objects and see a value to their future updates, if we can look at subjects and see a value to their future updates, it's the same with humanity. It is the conduct of a species, it is the maturity of a species, it is the might of the our might does not come because our past ancestors were good people. That's not where might comes. That's where you can at least get a sense of initial honor as a child, right? But at some point in this life, your honor must come from your future. That means when I've seen human personality, like human beings on this planet, and I've asked myself, when this human being is speaking, are they contexted based, and do they have an awareness of the future, or is their mind just functioning based on past up to future? Excuse me, past up to present. That means how many people are conscious of the future? One question. How many people are responsible for the future? Another question. You're in the presence of the decisions that will shape history. And so when I'm speaking to humanity, I am speaking to humans from different classes, creed, different value systems. But I'm saying we all, when we look in the mirror, we that's our membership into the human species. Now we have to allow our minds, just like when you sit on a couch and look at TV, and you this thought of, like, let's say hunger comes and you want to, in your mind you've already gone to the refrigerator to grab something, but you're sitting on the couch, your mind has lived ahead and your body just follows. Similarly, this, for when it comes to the global sense, it's like the species now, if we treated it like a person, it needs to be mindful beyond its own mouth. Like it needs to be mindful of itself. And those world leaders that, in some sense, they do this shift, it's going to make history. Right now, a greater global event needs to happen, more important than the wars happening. So every being's it's as if, like, war is stopped, then a new fascination is found as world leaders emerge, declaring that they are part of the united species. That means we are united because we're the same species on the same planet. When we forget this, it's tragedy. When we remember this, it's clarity, it is advancement. Okay. And so the whole point of this lecture was to to rekindle or ignite that passion in you, that if you've cared for yourself or there's anybody you've loved and cared for, then now you must care for their future as well. And the future, it is waiting for the greatest decisions of mankind to be made. So may God bless the United Species Council and United Species Day, and may the greatness of the advanced humanity arrive before it's too late. Thank you for listening. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful.